Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Shoshana Gross. I am the manager of major events with the Ohio Restaurant Association, and this is our Daily Dose. Today with us is John Barker, our president and CEO. Hi, John.
Hey, Shoshana, good to see you.
Good to see you too. It's been a while since you've been on the Daily Dose, so I'm glad to have you back.
I don't know if viewers understand that this is how we see each other oftentimes. We like to see each other once a week in person, but the rest of the time we all meet on Zoom and Teams and Skype and everything else. So
absolutely. Yep. I think actually probably viewers do understand that most people are having a lot of relationships through Zoom these days.
Right. Well, although, that said, our restaurants being open and, folks having to, show up on location and work, that's really important in our industry. And we do support that. In fact, I had an opportunity to get out yesterday and visit a great member of ours, Ron Jordan, who had run Popeyes for a long time with his dad, a good restaurateur here in Ohio, and now he runs the Hen Quarter. And I had a chance to kind of check out everything they're doing from a Dine Safe Ohio. It was just terrific to see. And his team was really excited about being reopened and delivering great service and really good food.
Fantastic. Well, yeah, I'm trying to get out and visit our members as well. And, today we're going to talk a little bit about, get started with some of our poll results. We've been doing this weekly survey since March, and, it really does show us a lot of the status, the state of the industry across the state of Ohio. So what do you have to share with us today, John?
It's important, Shoshana, you and I look at not just the weekly data, but we're interested in how does it compare to the previous week or maybe the previous month, and things that stand out to us statistically are typically what we're really looking at, to see is there a change going on. And in the area of sales, they have continued to improve just slightly. Each week there's a slight tick better. We saw, that pace in June was moving along. It slowed down in July. And in August, it really depends on the sector. The pizza guys, the fast casual, a lot of our quick serve folks are doing better. A few of the the casual dining people who've been able to figure out a way to do more delivery and using, the delivery services, they've done a little better. And when I say better, it could be instead of being down 50, they're down 20. But hopefully moving slightly better in that direction. But a lot of our fine dining and sit down and mom and pops and independent restaurants continue to really struggle. Those that don't have as much of the technology and online ordering and as much takeout and all that. And so 56%, of those folks are still down in sales between 20 and more than 70%. So that's concerning, and we'd certainly love to see that improve a little bit. We're certainly hoping for ongoing good weather so people can do patios and things like that. Interestingly, another question we ask is, given these current conditions that we're operating under, which is capacity restrictions, and in the state of Ohio, we have an alcohol curfew at 10 o'clock for serving and 11 o'clock for consumption, and things like that, as well as just the ongoing drumbeat of COVID. 83% of respondents don't think they're going to break even in 2020. And so that's concerning. That number continues to be very high. And then the last piece, which was the one that jumped out at us, right, more than a week ago, and that's 54% of restaurants don't think they can continue to operate into 2021. So looking out at the next 9 months under current conditions. And remember, that jumped from 31% in the previous week. And statistically, that's probably one of the biggest moves we've seen since we've really been tracking, and concerning. And I think, it's a collection of just, continuingly the drumbeat, on a lot of these independent restaurants, and then of course the alcohol change at 10 o'clock. All that has weighed on, I think, operators and made them a little more pessimistic.
Yeah, which is too bad to hear. We certainly would prefer to see those numbers going down so that we have, more operators feeling like they're going to be successful throughout the year. Is there anything that we can do to help support our operators right now?
Well, yeah, it's interesting. I get asked by the media about that all the time. And the first thing I say is go out and support your restaurant, right? Either go out and visit it, eat inside or outside, or at least do delivery or takeout, or go through your favorite drive-through and just help, right? These are these are your friends, these are your neighbors, and let's all help out. But in addition to that, we as a advocacy group, the Restaurant Association, and that's really one of our most important roles. We have been really driving a focus on the new relief bill, the COVID-19 bill that has been kicking around in Congress now for quite some time. There's a version that came from the House Democrats, and a version that came from the Senate Republicans. Those two have not met anywhere. They're about a $2 trillion difference. And we continue to push forward with our representatives on how critical this is. This is not something that we think can just go on for quite some time. The president did put in a few executive orders, but that doesn't really address the crisis. In fact, it doesn't really even affect the unemployment crisis. If folks only get $300 and we're not even sure everybody might get it, and the state might not be able to put in $100. So we have a lot of concerns about that. We are specifically pushing for a second round of the Paycheck Protection Program. And we think that is really the lifeline to help restaurants get through the back half of the year, at least into the late fall, early winter months. And if it ran similarly to the way the first one ran with the Flexibility Act, that would be great. We do understand some people got money that probably shouldn't have. So we do believe there needs to be a revenue test of how much money you have lost. And the first bill that came out from the Senate Republicans and Secretary Mnuchin said 50% reduction in revenue. We said that's way too much. If you're down 50%, unfortunately, you may be looking to close or file bankruptcy. So we said a 20% reduction should be kind of the lever there. And we got good reaction from Senator Brown, Senator Portman, and some of the members on the House side on that. And Nancy Pelosi actually came out, the speaker on the Dems on the House side, and said she thought maybe around 30. So I think we're in the ballpark there of being able to work out something that's good for everybody. And so we continue to really press for that. There's $135 billion still left from the first round that's unused. Our calculations is everybody got what they got the first time, but you take out the people who didn't show a loss and don't need it, we have plenty of money for everybody.
Great. Well, let's hope we see some movement on that soon, because I know people definitely need it.
So Shauna, what people can do in our industry, the owners and operators, it's so important. You can't just sit back and hope that the ORA does it all. We need you to send letters and emails, and we can put in, and we have into our memos that we send out. It's on our website, all the email addresses, phone numbers. You really have to get out there and talk about it. In our Wednesday memo that we put out, which you can find on our website if you don't have it, there was a letter we asked people to sign on to, and this was started by a number of CEOs around the country, led by Howard Schultz, the former chair and CEO of Starbucks. And it really asked for Congress to get together and get moving on this and on this relief bill. And so we've signed on it. The ORA has. I signed on as our CEO, and the president CEO of the National Restaurant Association, Tom Benet, signed on. And then lastly, if you haven't texted to Congress, please go on to into our memo or website, to NRA website, and make sure you text to Congress your support for the blueprint for restaurant revival. We need all that. Voices do matter. That's how we got the first tranche of the PPP passed. We got that done collectively. The restaurant industry did. So,
absolutely. So it's not too late to voice your support for a second round of PPP and the restaurant revival blueprint. And we hope that people go and do that right now while you're watching this. We did get some news, some other news around the 10 p.m. Liquor closures, or the Ohio Liquor Commission why don't you tell me a little bit about what happened with that?
Yeah, we've been in these discussions with the governor, lieutenant governor about, if there are violators, then enforcement really matters, right? Because health officials and the governor have told us that the vast majority of people are doing a great job, restaurants and bars, the vast majority. But there are outliers. And so the first cases of the violators did go in front of the Liquor Commission. It's interesting, and this information is available on ohio.gov coronavirus. But of the 6 cases that went in front, 3 of the violators got 20-day suspensions of their licenses. 1 got a 5-day suspension. 1 got a 2-day suspension, and then 1, it was deemed there was no violation, and so the case was dismissed by the commission, and they're going to continue to look at this. So as health departments and the Ohio Public Safety Group are out and doing these inspections and they find these violations, this is going to continue. And so we just got to get everybody to follow the Dine Safe Ohio orders. And if you are, there's no problems. People are safe. And that's what our health officials are telling us. Everybody should be seated. Everybody should have a face covering on as they walk through the restaurant until they're ready to eat and drink, right? Everybody should make sure that they're sanitizing their hands, social distancing, you know, everything that we've been talking about from day one. And just a shout out to, if you have not taken the Ohio Restaurant Pledge, we really need you to do that, right? We need you to take the pledge, agree to it, print out the signs. I know that's on our website. We've done a good job of making that information available, as well as all the other signs you might need for 6-foot distancing, things like that. We can help you with that.
Yep. And so now that we're seeing some of that, the violators being punished for that behavior, we're hopeful that this means that people can feel safe, that enforcement is taking place for folks who are not following the rules. And that means that the people who are following the rules just have a little bit more opportunity to do the best job that they can to serve their customers.
That's right.
So it is actually, of course, we don't want anyone to, you know, be hurt by this, but it is good news that for the rest of the operators who are doing the right thing.
That's right. This is one of those cases that just a few bad situations can paint an entire industry. And, you know, it's interesting, Shoshana, you and I were talking about this earlier. The first really big piece of contact tracing data we got that shed some light on this narrative was in Cincinnati about 3 or 4 weeks ago, where the mayor actually came out and released contact tracing data. There were 0 cases linked back to restaurants. He said restaurants are safe. So Mayor Cranley did that on, you know, a couple weeks ago. And then just recently here, Michigan came out. They finally released some information on contact tracing data. The media requested this data and got it from the health officials. So this is the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services. And for the week that was July 21st to the July 25th to the 31st, there were 187 ongoing outbreaks of COVID. Half of those were in nursing facilities, long-term care, and in adult care centers. So that wouldn't surprise anybody. That's pretty consistent with what we've heard from other governors and other mayors and people have reported on this. The next largest category for ongoing outbreaks is social gatherings, and that was 17 across the state. And we've seen those images where people are having parties in the backyard or maybe a big gathering of family, you know, for some reason, right? And people are kind of let their guard down a little bit and they don't wear their mask, or, and, you know, maybe they're too close to each other. That's also not surprising. Down the list, okay, the other places where it happened: manufacturing, construction, 10, office settings, 10, agriculture and food processing, 8, schools, colleges, and universities, 7. All the way down on the list, restaurants, and there were 2 categories here. One is restaurant employee associated, 5, just 5 cases. Restaurant guest associated, just 1. And so we have not been able to do much more analytical work on this other than to understand this data and then be asking, obviously, for Ohio's data as well as some of the city data where people have made these statements about restaurants are the super spreaders and that narrative, which we continue to see in some national media. And I just think that the media has not really been able to dig into the facts and really understand this. And so we'll continue to push on this. And, you know, we'd appreciate our members and our owners and operators, you know, being diligent and when they have an opportunity, you know, obviously to ask for this data as well. It really matters to have the facts, the data, and the science.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Don. We also always like to end with a little bit of information about our relief fund, which is an ongoing effort. Anything that you have to talk about there?
Well, you know, we continue to kind of press on people about how important this is, because with all the numbers that we threw around today, there continues to be a bunch of people furloughed in our industry because, you know, we're running at severe capacity limitations. And so many of our board of directors recently have stepped up and made, we had a couple make a second donation. I'd made a donation. I know that and some of our other board members stepped up and made donations. And so we're really excited. We're pushing, to get, way up over 1,000 people that we can give the grants to, and it's just exciting to be able to, do this. And Shoshana, what's beautiful about this relief fund, 100% of the dollars that come in go out in the form of grants. There's no handling fees at all at the ORA or Education Foundation.
Yeah, that is really great. And we do have a couple of fun events coming up. One of them, and so you can go to ohiorestaurant.org/events to find these. One of them is called Cocktails and Cooking, and it's an evening with Christina Basham and Chef Monique Costello. They're going to mix up a cocktail, cook a little dinner. If you sign up ahead of time, you can get the recipe for both the cocktail and the meal, and you can cook along, or you can just enjoy watching them while eating whatever it is that you feel like eating. So we really recommend everyone going and signing up for Cocktails and Cooking on our website. I think it's going to be a lot of fun, and all of the money raised through that event will be donated directly to the Relief Fund.
That's great. That's great.
Yeah.
So now, if you have the cocktail and you don't do the cooking, is that still okay?
Yep. Everything, any version of how you want to participate is allowed.
Got it.
Yeah. So great. And, there are some other ways to donate. You can of course, always just go and, push that donate button on our Ohio Restaurants Relief website, and any other way that you would like to send us money to give directly to restaurant employees, we will happily accept it.
Good cause. It's absolutely a great cause. Yes.
Yeah. Okay, great. I think that's everything for today. Thanks so much for joining me, and we'll see everybody next time.
Thanks.